Kia ora koutou and welcome to your first presentation on this paper 179310. I'll be taking you through the series of group work and then the second module is around family and whānau work. So this one is going to be taken by me. The presentations are going to be recorded by me because it kind of goes into sequence. So we thought we'll just keep that that consistency right the way through. Okay, so this is called Integrated Social Work Practice, Decolonising Social Work. And I was part of the working group that put this together. So this is a refresh from the one that we had. I think it was called Integrated Practice and Group Work and Family Practice, I think, something like that. Anyway, this is really now around looking at how we can decolonise some of the social work practices that you will be going into. So thinking more around this whole we do it like this because we've always done it like this. So breaking some of those entrenched core beliefs inside social work and being able to see things from fresh eyes as you go into the social work profession. So this is a practice paper. This course here is a practice paper, which means it stems from, or it's a spin-off from 110, 210, and then you've got 310, and then next year you'll be doing 410. Actually, I'm sorry, but I think it's 420 that you'll be doing next year. In relation to the sequence that this goes into. The other thing I can tell you about is because everything is going distance, we've got 4 members on our teaching team. How cool is that? And we do the same thing over and over again in terms of structure. So the content changes, the structure doesn't. And you'll notice that as you go through the stream site. Okay, I'm probably going to repeat myself as we go through. So last year, this course was online. And each time we met, I started with the same picture. Everything is about blended learning now, and I still think this picture matters. So if you're sitting at home, just do a little self-check. Have you got a comfortable chair? I guess the chair in the photo there is about, you know, if you're lounging around in your lounge or your room and you've got this big comfy chair that you can sit in and watch this presentation, it makes for a nice environment. Have you got water? Water is the most important thing when you're deep into your work in front of the computer. Have you got good lighting? Are your windows open so that you've got air coming through? And, you know, we all have to bring some kind of learning attitude. So I found this little quote from Brian Herbert, and he said, the capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill, and the willingness to learn is a choice, which I kind of thought was really cool. Here's some bonuses on the side. Of course, I'm right into essential oils, and wild orange and lemon grass together kind of promotes that full senses in your full senses, kind of stimulates your energy. Have you got greenery around you? And if you're into crystals, there's a big hunk of rose quartz there for you. All right. So about this paper, as I said, it's an expansion from 179110 and 179210 that you did with Deacon, me, Tharisha, and Polu last year. So they're practice papers. So it's really important. If you don't do, if you don't get into any other papers in this degree, please make sure that you take notice of the practice papers, because they are the ones that give you those skills and the knowledge on how to interact with people. This one here incorporates theory to practice. So you will learn about your theory, and there's some activities that we give you to do. And also there is tutorials that are offered to you every fortnight, so that you can talk about the interactive activities that you were assigned to do. So this is on the Stream site, honestly houses all of your resources for this course. There's no printouts. You do have to purchase or go to the library, purchase the book Kore, and I'll talk about that shortly. And there's two sections. So there's the group work section and the family and whānau work. All right, so it's kind of like modules, two modules or two sections. And in order for you to do your assignments, you have to be able to have worked through the group work section and then the family and whānau work section. There are 3 assignments available. It used to be 2 assignments and 1 exam. So we've just done away with the exam, and now we are offering 3 assignments to go with this course. And it's all delivered in distance mode. So the Palmerston North students and the Auckland Albany students in block course, no mai piki mai, welcome to the distance mode. And if you work through this course, you will see that it's very interactive. We do give you that space to be able to come together as a group. So if there's any that are in Auckland that want to meet up on the campus, hey, go right ahead. That's really cool. And same with Palmerston North. Or if you are out of the zones, maybe there's a few of you living in Wellington or New Plymouth or wherever, Tauranga, just try and suss yourselves out, get yourselves into little groups, little study groups, and then that becomes that support for you. Look, you're all into 3rd year. Wow, that's really cool. 3rd and 4th year were my absolute favourites for this degree, and I'm hoping that it will be for you as well. This is also time to step up. So you're senior students now, which means that you have to kind of start to zoom in on what we are trying to teach you around the social work practice, and of course you go into your practicum or your placement next semester. So this is it, is starting to become quite involved now, where you start to shape who you want to be as a social worker. Let's make this course very interactive and collaborative. Of course, we're going to do that. This is where you take control of your own framework, which I just said. Who do you want to be? What does that look like? What's your integrated practice framework that you learnt last year? Bring all of that in with you this year and have a look at how you want to practice. We have 4 members on the teaching team. So we've got Deacon Fisher, Tharisha Nadu, and Jane Lee, all very, very experienced practitioners in social work as well, and also doing their PhD or striving to be to do their PhD in time. So they'll be able to support you through this course and give you interactive learning experience. So you might be able to see them in the tutorials. You'll be able to see them online in terms of presentations, and also if you email them as well. Okay, so it's really important when you are learning that you have some sort of similarity, right? And this means structure and delivery. is very important. So when you look through the stream, things will remain the same. The structure of the course will remain the same, but when you go into the sorry, I thought there was someone knocking. When you go into what are they called? The links, it will have all the learning that you need to be able to work through this course. The content can be different, but the structure remains the same. Well, that's basically what I was trying to say. This is research. This is research to have a fantastic effect. So you're not worrying about, oh God, where have they put this, where have they put that? All you're worrying, all you are concentrating on is being able to learn the content that we're putting out there. And look, you only get out what you put in, is a really cool saying, especially in these practice papers. If you're only just going to do the bare minimum, you're going to only get the bare minimum learning out of it. So the textbook is Corey and Corey, and I am thinking that, yep, that is it. They're right up the top there. That's what it looks like. This Working with Families is quite an old one. It's 2010. It's quite highly recommended. Robin Munford and Jackie Sanders does an excellent job when you're working with families, and it's from a strength-based approach. So if you wanted to get that out to help you through the second part of this course, that's highly recommended. All right. So I just want to ask you a few questions and just try and get you to go back into last year when you were doing 179210. And oh, you did it with me, Deacon and Tharisha. So wherever you were, and Paulu started with us as well. So wherever you were in that space, think about what you learnt in that paper. So every week we gave you another theory, or we gave you another model to have a look at, and we talked about it. We turned it inside out, upside down, had a look at what it looked like, and then gave you the chance to kind of reflect on that learning. And you know, there was a core group that followed us right the way through from start to end. There was a few that dropped off and maybe came back later, and there was a few that actually didn't really do much at all. So they'll be doing it this year. So this is a really key paper, because all of that theory and those theories and models that you brought in, that you learnt in this paper here, will now be very, very useful for you to look at things in this course here. My next question is, why do you need to learn this stuff? Like, why can't I just go out and start to practice and don't need any frameworks? Maybe just work it out as I go. So these are some of the things that you could probably need to kind of have a look at. Why do you need to learn this stuff? You can't go out and just practice what my mother would say, willy-nilly. You have to have some sort of framework or some sort of theory behind what you do, the theory that informs your practice and also informs what you are doing in terms of your social work. And the last question here I've got is, what use are these skills in social work? Absolutely valuable. So as we look at these three questions, when we're looking back at last year, this will give us a space to kind of reflect on what type of theories and models that we want to bring through to this paper now. So they all start to join. You've got to remember that. Don't leave anything behind back in last year. All of that knowledge needs to now come through. And it's very interesting for our students, because they finish a course and go, oh, phew, that's done. Whew, that's done. Put that aside. Now, what's this course about? No, let's bring all of that here and go, okay, what did I learn last year? Why did I need to know all of that stuff? And what are these skills? What use are these skills for me in social work? Okay, and then we're going to give you a whole lot of other stuff, and you start to design next year, in fourth year, you start to design who you want to be as a social worker. So these are really, really important skills to bring through with you. All right, check this out. So in my third year of my BSW, I was sitting in class. I had a great summer. I was keen to get back into everything, and then my lecturer asked me this question. And that was probably the look on my face when she asked me that. What is theory? And so when we start to look at theory, we need to have that real strong kind of sense of what theory is. And I'm going to just take you through a whole lot of people's kind of ideas around that. Oh, ideas. All right, so this is Malcolm Payne. You would have come across him now in some of the literature. I think he wrote Modern Social Work Theory, maybe. I think that's the name of the book. So anyway, he says that a theory is an organised statement of ideas about the world. An organised statement of ideas. And I've just underlined that so that you can kind of go, oh, okay, a theory is an organised statement of ideas. There's formal theories and there's informal theories, all right? And here's some of the formal theories. They're the ones that have been tested and recorded by professionals and academics, right? Feminism theory, Marxist theory, CBT, or cognitive behavioural theory. They are all based on being tested, recorded, and gone, yeah, actually they work, all right? And the informal theories are based on social constructivism, which is how we construct meaning to make sense of our environment. It's kind of like an inductive and deductive. And I'm going to touch on those two words in just a second. The social activity becomes habitual, so we share assumptions about how things are. This then shapes the way we behave in society. For instance, when you go into a restaurant, you know that at the end of your meal, you have to go up to the counter and pay for that meal. For instance, if you're driving down the road and the traffic light turns red, then you know you have to stop, right? So all of those have been socially constructed. If you break the law, then there's consequences around the police involvement. If you walk down in the middle of the road, you're highly likely to cause danger, right? So all of these things in your life that are socially constructive is how we go about our world, so our lives. Yeah. Sorry, this then shapes the way we behave in society. In the Western society. Now, remember those two, let's come back here, those two words here, inductive and deductive. Right, the first one is inductive, and if you look up, it goes up here. So you observe something, right? You sit there and you observe something, and then you go, oh wow, there's a little pattern happening in there. For instance, you are sitting outside the local dairy, and just up the road a bit is the traffic lights, right? And when somebody comes up to the traffic lights, they push the button, and then you notice that that side of the road, the lights turn red to stop. And then over here, the pedestrian, the little man starts to go green. There might be a noise, and that person walks across the road. And then you go, oh, okay, So every time somebody pushes the button, that's what happens. There's a sequence of events. So then you might come up with a tentative hypothesis. A hypothesis is kind of like a little question of, what happens if I don't push the button, or if I do push the button over on the other side? And then that creates a theory. So a kind of a constructed way, or an organized way of looking at things. Okay, that's inductive, and it goes up. Inductive. And then we go to deductive, where the same scenario that I just talked about, perhaps you go, oh, okay, I see what happens. The pedestrian pushes the button, the lights change, and then the pedestrian can go, oh, okay. And so you might come up with a hypothesis around that, or a question of intent. And then you may sit there and do some more observations. Maybe you go down the road to the other set of traffic lights and see if that works there. And then you confirm your theory is correct. So that's deductive. Okay. I'm just going to go back to inductive. So you see something, you work out there's a pattern to that. You work out a hypothesis or a question, a research question, and then you form that theory. With the deductive, you already have a theory in mind. You work out a research question, you do some observation, and then you confirm that's the theory. Now I'm going to just do this little activity, and what I want you to do is, if you want to think about it more, just pause me and have a think about it, and then carry on. Okay, so this is a question. This is my theory. Who knows Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen, right? Now the question is that Bohemian Rhapsody, the song, who gets asked to do the fandango? All right, so I'm just gonna look, you can pause there, you can start looking at, look, I've got little hints there. Thunderbolt and lightning, very, very frightening. Galileo, Galileo. Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide, no escape from reality. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm just a poor boy, nobody loves me. He's just a poor boy from a poor family. Okay. All right, so I'm just wanting you to answer the question, who gets asked to do the fandango? Now, the other thing that I want you to think about is are you testing it in an inductive or deductive way? I'm going to move forward. Okay. I see a silhouette, little silhouette of a man. Scaramouche, Scaramouche, will you do the fandango? Okay, so it's Scaramouche is the answer. So did you work it out in an inductive way, where you observe the task, and if you were doing it in a classroom setting, would you be watching your peers? So I've done this in a classroom, and I've noticed, people are like, oh, and in their head they're singing the song, or getting the song all sorted out in their head, and they're watching their peers, and some are singing it out loud like I did, right? So did you watch me instead? Like, did you watch me start singing it? Did you work out the pattern of the song? Did you sing it loudly? And then came up with the theory of who gets asked to do the fandango, and then it's the theory is confirmed. Or Did you look at it in a deductive way, where I already had an idea of who gets asked, worked out the song, observed your peers for confirmation, and then the theory is confirmed? All right. So there, that's just a little social experiment, because I'm all about social experiments, and just being able to kind of sit in that space and go to work out the inductive and deductive way. And that's how theory comes up. You know, that's how one way that theory is worked out. All right. I'm just going to change it up a little bit and look at social work and what are we doing around looking, you know, what's theory got to do with social work? So social work promotes social change, problem solving, and human relationships, and the empowerment and liberation of people who enhance well-being. Beautiful, beautiful words. Really awesome, real heavy, real encouragement words, real liberating words as well. Social change, problem solving, empowerment, liberation, love that word, and enhancing well-being, right? Social work also utilizes theories of human behavior and social systems. So we need to know what theory is. Social work intervenes at the point where people interact with their environment. Principles of human rights and social justice are fundamental to social work. So that comes from the ANZASW Code of Ethics. I think it's all changed now, but they still use all of these words, right? And here's their logo. So you can see already they're looking at biculturalism inside social work, and they're pretty much putting a stance. They're standing in their space around being able to honour Te Tiriti o Waitangi. All right. So, hey, look, I'm just asking you here. So are you up for the job? Are you up for the job? So what are some of the theories and models you have been informed of? Now you are working towards being agents of change. All right. So now we're starting to ask you, what are some of the theories and models? And it doesn't necessarily have to be the ones that you learnt at in the second year or the first year or this year. It doesn't necessarily have to be them, but you have to come to the table with something so that you can start to be confident in those theories. Excuse me. So check out the words that are underlined. Again, we are really looking at the same kind of wording right the way through the last 3 years or the last 2 years that you've had. These words are not, they are not strange to you. They're not, they're words that we've been saying all along. All right, so these are 3 views of social work coming from Dominelli. There she is down there. And Michael Payne. Okay, these 2 gurus down here. So they looked at 3 views of what theory is. The first one is reflective therapeutic view, right? And that means that social workers seek the best possible well-being for individual groups and communities by promoting and facilitating self-fulfillment. So really it's a therapeutic space. So you're looking at non-government organisations or runanga or iwi social services that promote the best possible outcome for their people that they're working with. Then you've got the socialist collective views, right? So social workers seek cooperation and mutual support in society to ensure the oppressed and the disadvantaged can gain power over their lives, just like community development, parenting groups, gay and lesbian supports. All right, so self-fulfillment social work, where there's the kaupapa is already set. And then there's the individualistic reformist views, such as they meet the needs of the individual in relation to welfare services and maintains social order or social fabric of the society. For example, the Ministry of Social Development. I'm just going to give you another look at, look at this one here. So this is all linking in, those three views are linking in the theory. So when you're looking at this, down the left-hand side, you've got the reflective therapeutic view, which is like psychodynamic, humanistic, constructivism. Crisis model, strength-based, might be Te Whare Tapawhā, there might be Meihana model in there, or actually indigenous models. Then you've got the socialist collectivist view, which looks at critical theory, anti-oppressive and radical theory, or racism theory, native theory, feminism and empowering theory. And then the individualistic reformist, which is more around the welfare state, is looking at social development theory, systems theory, CBT, and perhaps task-centered. All right. I'm just going to also ask you about the Te Ao Māori models and theories, right? What are the ones you know, and how confident are you using them in your practice? So when I first started out teaching, oh God, I was like, then there's this model, and there's this model, and there's this model, there's this theory, and all of this knowledge. And then I kind of thought, wow, how well do our students know all these as they walk out of the degree? How confident are you? You may know 8 or 9 different Māori models of practice or Indigenous models of practice, but do you know them confidently? And I guess this is a little win or a challenge for you to kind of go, yeah, I do know Te Whare Tapawhā, but how do I know it? Do I know it really well? Have I tried it on? Do I know what it feels like? Okay, so there's a lot of little checklists that you probably need to go through. Why is this even important? Will you be working with tangata whenua, and what are the things you need to know to do that? Okay, and so hey, you're lucky enough to be also alongside this course, you're doing maua ki te tiriti o Waitangi with Deacon and I. So you're able to also sit in that space as well and bring some of that learning over to this one. Excuse me. And just as I was saying, to be comfortable working with tangata whenua and our Pasifika brothers and sisters, look, we are your highest service users. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if it's going to get worse or better with the current government in play. But you need to keep yourself safe in your practice. So knowing 2 or 3 models or theories, absolutely, rather than 8 or 10 superficially. So when you start to design your integrated practice framework, you can then just kind of concentrate on working with 2 or 3, or maybe even 1, to get that right, so that you are confident in that. Look, I was having a really good time, really good fun on online with my students, and here's one here. Here's a little exercise here that you could do, like you could absolutely do. So grab your phone, using Google, find a definition of theory related to social work, just a sentence or 2. You have to be able to understand it and talk to its meaning, all right? Remember, if you choose one with big words, you need to ensure that you can explain it. Now, this is a really, really good exercise. And please, if you want to do this, please do it. Is just go through Google and have a look at what theory means, but also like just really, really focus on a definition that really sits well with you, so that you, when somebody goes, oh, what is theory? You don't make the face like me. You kind of go, oh, this is what it means. Okay. So of course this was in a classroom when I did this, and I wanted to leave this this particular little exercise in here because I think it's still relevant. While this is a pre-recording, you can still do this exercise. So write it up on the whiteboard so we can have a look. No need to reference, but you need to know where you got it from, okay? So if you are looking at O'Donoghue, for instance, or Munford, for instance, then you can kind of go back to that definition. And of course, I didn't have real chocolate fish, but here we go. Congratulations if you've found one that sits really well with you. You know, you're third year BSW students now, and you've got this, okay? What I wanted to just do with this little slide is just to kind of remind you that you have now stepped up a level. I said that at the start, but now you've stepped up to upper level. It means that you from now on, you're in the training, and you're doing social work. So developing your own practice framework. And you know, we talked about this at the end of last year in 210. This is why that we develop our practice framework. I'm going to read this a couple of times. Matthew Keane, I worked with him in mental health. He's been in mental health for years and years and years, and he's a very, very experienced clinician. He also does a lot of writing around queer social work. I'm hoping that he has done some more writing, some up-to-date writing around psychiatric social work as well, working in mental health. He works in a secure unit ward. And he used to be my supervisor as well. So Matthew says this, and Matthew, honestly, Matthew is the guru of theory. He totally is. So he said, if we do not know or understand why we do what we do, or the way we do it, then it could be said that we do not truly know or understand what we are doing. All right, I'm going to read that again because it's a little bit of a twist, but it's got a deep message in there. If we do not know or understand why we do what we do, or the way we do it, then it could be said that we do not truly know or understand what we are doing. All right, so I'll just leave that with you. Here's the guy, this is Rashid Prasad, who looked at integrated practice framework inside social work. It's kind of a 1980s kind of way of looking at things. And of course, you know, we can still absolutely start to decolonize what the integrated practice framework looks like. But it's really important to kind of have that framework to go by. So it's an ecological approach. It doesn't just sit in, oh, this is what I'm going to be as a social worker. It sits more around your personal self to your professional self, and what kind of move that looks like. What kind of morals and values are you bringing into your professional self? What are your worldviews around this? Okay, so he focuses on that practitioner being able to explain themselves in practice using these. So examine, critique, justify, and rationalize your assessments and interventions, which is really good, absolutely good advice to take when you are working at a high-paced social work practice. Okay. why do we need an integrated practice framework with the theories and the models and the practice? It ensures the social worker is thinking critically about the knowledge base which guides their practice. It promotes intentional and informed social work practice, and it maintains closer links between analysis and action. Why did you do what you did? Also, accountability in social work practice. So cleaning out your kete. Over the last few years, you would have been introduced to a range of theories and models, right? And you would have put them in there. Like I'm saying, don't leave them behind in last year. Bring them all up the front now. Excuse me. How comfortable are you applying them to your practice? How do they align to your personal self, and will they fit in your professional self? And you know from last year, if you were took 179210, that we encourage you to try it on. We encourage you to try on the theories, to try on the models, to try on the frameworks. And so going back to the accountability, the social workers should not work in isolation. So you're not going to be making decisions based on just what you think. There's a lot of accountability that happens. And, you know, these are some of the things that you've got, some of the spaces that you are accountable to. And I liken it to umbrellas. Like you've got all these umbrellas that you're opening up. So you're accountable to the service you're working for. You're accountable to the policies and procedures and the agency of the procedures of the agency. You're accountable to the ANZASW under the Code of Ethics, the Code of Conduct, the cultural competencies. You're accountable to your registration. You're accountable to your supervisors and being in supervision. You're accountable to the client or the person that you're working with, but not only them, their whānau and their family and everybody around them that helps support them. You're also accountable to yourself and your whānau or your family, your professional development, being able to make sure that you're continuously upgrading yourself, and you are accountable to your integrated practice. So again, this was when I was sitting in a classroom, and I didn't want you to miss out. Just, you know, if you want to do this little activity, pause me and put this list in order of priority. So put the number in the chat. Oh, sorry, that was when we were online. We can have a look at them if you want to put the number in the forum, for instance, and we can have a look at what you have decided in order of priority. Okay, pause me if you want to do this. Okay, sorry. I am recording this for 2024. Look at that. And so I'm using last year's PowerPoint, which is okay because there's some things there that you can do. All right, so what are theories, what theories you like now? What models do you like and think you will use in practice so far? So maybe think about this and write it down so that you've got an indication on the theories and models that you're working towards being confident in. How does this align to you, who you are as a social worker and who you are as a person? So how does the theories and models that you align to, are they aligned to your morals, your values, and your worldviews? What theories and models do you like, but you are not confident in? So maybe make another list down the side of things that you want to, you're really interested in, but you need more time to have a look at what that looks like. And how can you learn about them more? How can you practice them? How can you incorporate them into your integrated framework? Okay, so you've only got 2 years left. This is Professor Graham Gibbs. Now, as you see, if I'm using somebody else's work, I like to actually have a look at what they look like. So here's Graham Gibbs. I'm using his reflective practice framework here, and this is all about reflection, and you will notice that social work does that very well. We always make sure that we do some reflections after the fact. So have a look. Here's a YouTube clip here, and just this is the little model, the Gibbs reflective model, that is really cool. So it looks on what happened, looks on what kind of feelings came up for you, what was good or bad about the experience. Have a look at it, what make sense of it, and then conclude it, and then if there's an action plan that you want to do, carry on. So it's a very good reflective framework to learn as you go out into practice. Okay, why this is really around looking at you building a structure for reflection, and that's why we give the forums a space for you to have a look at what you've just learned. Why is it important for you? What you got out of it, all of that sort of thing. So reflection. And then you'll get to know more of this when you go into preparing for your placement. So ensure that your supervisor asks reflective questions. Reflecting helps you stay on your toes with your professional development. And reflection is good for you and it's healthy. All right. So let's reflect, go into the forums and have a wee reflection on theory. All right, here's some more reading. This one here it's quite old. Let me see. It's 2008, but this book is really valuable, and it's just a little book. I think I might have it somewhere. It's just a little thin book, but it's got wealth of information in there. New theories for social work practice. This has just come out. Oh, I haven't got it. There on the. Yeah, so have a look at these. These are really cool further reading for you. All right. Thank you very much. Make sure you fill in the forum, just so that you can be held accountable. Well, hold yourself accountable for your learning, right? And being able to just reflect on some of the stuff that we just talked about. Okay. Ngā mihi, kia ora.